Alright guys, in Ielts writing, the most important task is essay writing. Most important. Essay writing is equal to 6 band, and letter writing or report writing, that is equal to 3 band. So if you take this essay writing seriously, you just learn how to write a good essay, you improve your language skills as well. For that, you can always get a good band score here. There are 4 criteria. Whenever examiner marks your writing, they have 4 criteria. Number 1 is task response, or we also call it task achievement. Task achievement or task response is how thoroughly you have covered the topic. Task response is whether you have written 250 words or not for task 2. Minimum 250 words. Maximum you can write up to 300, 350, there is no problem, right? Task response is whether you have covered the topic or not. And when it comes to covering the topic, you have to present an idea, expand that idea, give a relevant example, and then conclude the idea. Like 4 sentences only. You need to give your point, elaborate on that point, means expand the point. If there is any example, relevant example, you can give the example and then conclude that very point. This is what they want to see, कि आप कितनी दूर तक जाते हैं. Like you have a point, how much you discuss that point. And if you are just discussing, for example, if I say tourism is important, tourism is very important, tourism is crucial, am I explaining anything? I have to mention why tourism is important. For that, I will elaborate the point, then I'll give an example, and then I'll come towards the conclusion of that, right? The most important thing is to read and understand the topic. And if you misunderstand the topic, that will play disaster with your writing band score, right? As we say in Urdu, आपकी writing का band बच जाएगा writing का, right? So you should understand the topic, and another important thing is you should know the range of the topic. Range means if I write this, that is in the range of the topic. If I write beyond that, then I'll be out of the topic, or I'll go away from the topic. There is one thing, if you write anything irrelevant, that will be out of the word count. If you write anything out of your cramming, means you crammed some sentences and you put them there, that will also be out of the word count. And if your full answer is crammed answer, on Saturday when we have mock test, we will give you writing answer sheet. So just below that you can see the criteria of the topic. Of the topic means OFF of the topic. Memorized answer. If it is memorized answer, again you will get very low band score. So eventually you will have to write English to get your desired band score. It is not possible that you learn some sentences, you copy some phrases and you can do it better. It's not the case. Anyways, let's now come to the topic. Essay template we've got here, and argument means the topic. International tourism. Now you need to define what is international tourism. International tourism is people go for holidays to other countries. Like, locally people go to marine northern areas, that is not international tourism. International tourism is if someone goes to Singapore, or someone goes to France or any other country, or people come to your country to visit from other countries, that is what we call international tourism. Has become a huge industry in the world. Now, after reading this sentence, you should do something like this. Okay. International tourism has become huge industry in the world because people love to travel. They go to other countries, other destinations and all that. Some people think that the problems caused by international tourism. Now for a second, think about it. Problems caused by international tourism. These problems can be culture related problems, right? Or these problems can be transport related problems or some other problems. So some people think that the problems caused by international tourism outweigh the benefits. Means problems are more and benefits are less. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Now listen here. You need to take your aim. Aim means nishana lena. Nishana kya lena? You got to see where do I have to agree or disagree. Do I need to agree with this thing? International tourism has become a huge industry in the world? No. You need to agree with the statement. Some people think that the problems caused by international tourism outweigh the benefits. So if you agree, that means problems are more than benefits. And if you disagree, that means benefits are more than the problems. So you need to, that is why you should spend around 4 or 5 minutes reading the topic, interpreting the topic, thinking about it, so that you don't go away from the topic. That's very, very important thing. Okay. Now, by the way, what do you think? Do you think problems are more than benefits, or benefits are more than problems? Benefits are more, problems are more. And by the way, examiner will never mind whether you say problems are more or you say benefits are more. Examiner will never mind this thing. They will only see your language skills. They will only see your response, task response, grammatical range. Grammatical range means the range of words. And by the way, when it comes to grammatical range, you should remember 3 C's. 3 C's. And these 3 type of sentences you must learn. The first C is compound sentence. The second C is complex sentence, and the third C is conditional sentence. In your essay, within the paragraphs, you must write at least 1 to 2 compound sentences, 1 or 2 complex sentences, and along with that, you can write some conditional sentences as well. Conditional sentences will be very few, but mainly compound, mainly, and just rarely you can use, but in one paragraph, deliberately you should try to use a complex sentence, because complex sentences along with compound sentences, they go for bench score 7 and 8. And if you write simple sentences like only one idea in one sentence, that is for bench score 5 or 5.5. So even if you don't know, that's very easy. Just go to YouTube, play a couple of videos about compound sentences, do some practice, there you are. Once you are fine. And compound sentences, basically all these sentences are based on simple sentences. When we join 2 simple sentences, that becomes a compound sentence. And even in complex sentences, we just add 3 ideas, sometimes 4 ideas with the help of conjunctions and all that. So you can always do that, okay? So you should learn these 3 sentences and use them appropriately in your essays if you are looking for higher bench score. Okay, let's just move on. Now, the first paragraph is actually what we call introduction. So we are going to see here, and let me tell you, there are 4 types of essays, 4 or 5. Opinion essay, discussion essay, problem solution essay, advantages, disadvantages essay, and then sometimes they give you a double question essay. Double question is there are 2 questions, and in 2 paragraphs you have to answer those 2 questions, okay? So these are the 5 types. For every type you must know clearly, if it is opinion essay, I will write 4 paragraphs. If it is a discussion essay, I will write 4 or 5 paragraphs. If it is advantages, disadvantages, so you should know all these things very, very clearly, then you can just end up writing a good essay. Now let's take a look at the present time, and by the way, the words which are given in bold, these words are to achieve coherence and cohesion. By the way, I just mentioned 2 criteria. The first one is task response, second one is grammatical range, third one is lexical resource. Now, examiner wants to see how many words you know related to tourism. For example, they use the word international tourism. So for international, what are the other words that you know? For tourism, what are the other words that you know? Tourism, tourist, tourists, tourism industry, right? Globetrotters. Globetrotters are also tourists. Okay, so this is what they want to see. What we do, we use some high-fi words which are irrelevant to the topic, and instead of increasing the band score actually decreases. That is why I've heard this sentence, some Ielts candidates work so hard to decrease their band score. They work very, very hard, and at the end what happens? They decrease their band score. So you should know where and how to work hard and all that. Okay, so I was telling you about this vocabulary, and then after vocabulary we've got coherence and cohesion. Just 2 things. First thing is, whenever you write a sentence, you must tell the reader what that sentence is. If you say first of all, that means that is your first idea. If you say secondly, that means that is your second idea. If you say moreover, that means you want to further elaborate that. If you say for example, that means you are giving an example. So these type of phrases are good to get coherence and cohesion. And second, there is a flow of a sentence. Whenever you write, ideas should be connected. For example, if I say these type of people, first I talk about some people, then I say these type of people. So when I say these type, this sentence is actually reflecting the previous sentence. So this sort of reflection, such procedures, I talk about some procedures, then I say such procedures. So that means I'm just going back. So this connectivity is very, very important. That's what we call coherence and cohesion, and they will also see that. I just quote a very simple example that if you're writing an essay, this is not a good approach. You say, I have a car, it has 4 wheels, it is very beautiful, its color is black, I like my car. That's for band score 4, 4.5. If you say, I have a beautiful black car, and in fact, this car was gifted to me by my father when I passed my graduation. See that? This is something better. I have a car, my father gifted it to me, I passed something like that, okay? So that's the plan for the lowest band score. That is why always remember your 3 C's and decide tomorrow when you come to the class, before coming to the class, you must learn 3 types of sentences. And on Saturday, when we have the mock test, in mock test, you must write these sentences, and definitely they will increase your band score. Okay, now let's go on, please. At the present time, international tourism is a big industry. Instead of this, you can write international tourism has become a big industry or has become a gigantic industry. Try to use some words where you emphasize, where you focus. Huge industry. Instead of big, you can write that. Meanwhile, whether this trend has more benefits or more problems is a frequent topic of discussion. So first sentence, now listen. In introduction, they have written 3 sentences. In introduction, you can write 4 sentences, that is right. You can write 3 sentences, that is also right. You can even write 2 sentences, that is also right. Okay, now let me tell you, if you write 2 sentences, what are they? First sentence is general sentence about the topic, right? And second sentence is, first sentence is paraphrasing the topic in your own words, and second sentence is your thesis sentence. Thesis sentence means your plan. Your plan means what you are going to do with that essay. And from your thesis sentence, examiner learns the type of essay you have written, right? And the topic, whether you understood the topic or not. Now, for example, they give you essay topic, international tourism, and you take it as tourism. And then you say, in Pakistan, Swat, Murree, Naran, we have beautiful places. Tourism is important. Imran Khan is doing this for tourism. He is a very good prime minister. I voted for him also. Blah, blah, blah. Tourism. Topic is not tourism, right? You got to say the topic is some people think that the problems caused by international tourism outweigh the benefit. So if you pick up one word from the topic, write on that word, that will be the reason for low band score. Okay, anyway, so I was telling you the first is paraphrase the topic and your plan. We call it thesis sentence. If you want to write 3 sentences, write a general sentence about the topic, paraphrase the topic, and your thesis sentence. If you want to write 4 sentences, a general sentence about the topic, add another sentence to support that one, then you can write your paraphrasing the topic, and then you can write your plan. All these types are correct, fine, as long as the sentences you have written, they are fine, okay? So, let's move on. The second sentence is paraphrasing the topic here. Meanwhile, whether this trend has more benefits or more problems is a frequent topic of discussion. From my perspective, we call it thesis sentence. And if this word is difficult, we spell it like THESIS. If it is difficult, then you can name it as plan. This is your plan. From my perspective, international tourism is definitely beneficial in many ways. Try to emphasize. If you only write, from my perspective, international tourism is beneficial. Why? Just say definitely beneficial in many ways. And then you're going to write further. Are you all clear about introduction? Any question? No. Now, the next paragraph in opinion essay, this is actually the most important paragraph. This is the heart of the essay, right? So in this paragraph, you are going to write the reasons as it is mentioned, definitely beneficial in many ways. Now you're going to talk about those benefits. Because you said it is beneficial in many ways, so you will talk about those benefits, and remember, minimum there should be 2 arguments, or maximum there should be 3 arguments, right? And you will write them very properly, as I told you, first of all, secondly, finally, and all that. Let's take a start. International tourism creates great benefits on different levels. Now this is just a general sentence. First and foremost, now you can copy this in your template. First and foremost, it provides individuals opportunities to see a different culture firsthand. Now, what is the first benefit? Opportunity to see a different culture firsthand. What is firsthand? You go to a culture, you become the part of that culture, you see people, how they are, you hear their language, their way of living, and all that. So this is the first point here. According to my observation, visiting another country, now he is explaining the same point now. I told you first you introduce a point, then you elaborate that point. According to my observation, visiting another country is a comprehensive experience, comma, which is much more enjoyable than staring at another culture on a computer screen. Is that clear? Now you should focus the sentence structure after comma. They actually used which and all that. Okay, additionally, now when you say additionally, you are guiding the reader. You are telling the reader that I want to add some more. Next point. Additionally, international tourism boosts the economy. Now what's the second point? Boosts the economy of the host country. Now by the way, now listen carefully, just a second. There is one thing which is called collocation. Right, I will share a book. You've become the part of WhatsApp group, so I will share a book of collocations. Now, what is a collocation? Collocation is a group of words, and these words are often used together by native speakers of English. So, if you use collocations, your English sounds more natural. Now, all of you know the word host. All of you know the word country, but host country, that is something different. So that, and this is an example of collocation. This is a good example of collocation. That is why in your essay, when we talk about lexical resource, we talk about vocabulary. One is synonyms and second is collocations. Your question, please. Then I come to you. I tell you. This is actually a big paragraph which is going to cover all the things, right? Now, if you want to divide this big paragraph into 2 small paragraphs, then you can do that also, right? It's like that. Yes, please.
So my question is that this particular thing that they're saying that it improves the economy of the host, how is that beneficial to the person who's traveling? As in, he's the one who's wasting money, so it's not that it's beneficial to the person who's traveling. So if we have to agree to work,
Basically, okay, let me come to the topic. The topic says problems caused by international tourism outweigh the benefits. So when we talk about it, we're not talking about it at the individual level. Overall, we see the host country is the country where the tourists come. So it is going to benefit them in that way. The country where you are, no, the country where you go, destination country. It's about that. Okay, let's go on. Now we've got the example. Take Australia as an example. Now this sentence tells us that there is an example. During the previous decade, international tourism has produced numerous employment opportunities in various sectors of Australia. That is second point. Now we've got the third point. And by the way, if you feel comfortable, you can write 3 separate paragraphs for all 3 points as well. It's up to you. No problem. 3 separate paragraphs are fine. In the third place, now third paragraph, you can start by saying in the third place, knowledge gained during overseas trips certainly helps eliminate a range of stereotype tourists. Now, what is stereotype? For example, now we are here in Pakistan. The way we think about African people, the way we think about Canadian people, and we stereotype all the Canadian. For example, you watch a Hollywood movie, and then you imagine in USA life is like that, and you stereotype everyone. Stereotype means to just categorize everyone. For example, if you go to a country and then someone double crosses you or someone steals your things and you think everyone is a thief over there, something like that. That's what we call stereotype. Okay, so stereotypes tourists have about the host country. In this way, individuals can expand their outlook and become worldlier, another word. Now, listen carefully. Whenever you write an opinion essay, you can never balance your essay without giving contrast. If you agree with something, that's very good. But at the same time, there are people who disagree with that. And it is important for you to take a look at that side as well. So that is why we call it contrast. If you disagree, the people who agree, what is their standpoint, that is what you will write in contrast. If you agree, people who disagree, so you will write about them in contrast paragraph. Now, let's see. Of course, non-biodegradable litter means garbage, left behind by tourists poses a big threat to the host country. Is that clear? So you are trying to balance your essay. That is something negative you mentioned. Nonetheless, tourist destinations can certainly establish relevant laws and regulations so that this issue can be addressed. I mean, you need to talk about something and then you can say how we can overcome or how can we overcome that. Once the economy of the host country has been enhanced by international tourism, it would be easier for the local government to implement effective strategies to solve this problem. Now, you might have noticed they talked about contrast, but again, they figured out a solution to overcome that very thing. So this is how you're going to write one paragraph in your opinion essay, which is what we call contrast. If you agree, people who disagree, what is their standpoint, you will write that in contrast. And if you disagree, people who agree, you will write about that in contrast. Finally, we've got conclusion. You can start it like, to sum up, in spite of the fact that international tourism, now you should replace this word global tourism or any other word like that, may impede the environment of tourist destinations, the advantages of international tourism surely outbalances its disadvantages. And you can see it's only one sentence, right? But you can see ideas are joined together and it sounds like it's basically a paragraph, but it's only one sentence. Now, what you need to do, you got to the first thing is there are 22 templates over here. And these templates almost cover all the major type of essays, right? So you should the words which are given, because whenever you write, you need to keep in mind four things. The first thing is task response, the most important one. Means you understood the topic and you written according to that. Then when we talk about grammar, make sure you're using a variety of sentence structures, and when you use a variety of sentence structures, make sure you join them well, proper use of comma, proper use of conjunctions and all that. I have a handout that is 21 rules of comma. I will share that in WhatsApp group as well. Whatever I'm telling you, in case if I forget, you can just remind me. 21 rules of comma. Okay, we've got that handout. So you got to see that, and then lexical resource. Try to use, number one, wide range, not very wide range, but still a wide range of words which are related to the topic. By the way, the words which are written in bold, to achieve coherence and cohesion, these words will be the same in every opinion essay. You can use them. When we talk about vocabulary, we've got two types. One type is topic related vocabulary, second is essay related vocabulary. If you write opinion essay, I strongly agree, I believe, that is essay related vocabulary. Topic related vocabulary is like tourism, global, globetrotters and all that. So you should use both actually very carefully. And then finally we've got coherence and cohesion. Don't leave the sentences separate. I mean, you should mention if that sentence contains example, you should write, for instance, If that sentence elaborates your idea, you can write, by this I mean what I want to say. Okay, so when you write these type of phrases and your own sentences, now for example, if you use this template, at the present time, wow, very impressive. After at the present time, you say international tourism has been going on, got very well, and something like that. The whole sentence will be considered wrong. And then these words will be highlighted by the examiner that this candidate does not know anything, and that will be the reason for the low band score. So, I mean, your all clothing should match. Now, for example, if you're wearing very decent clothes, very elegant clothes, at the same time your shoes are very dirty, so people will take a look at the shoes, say shoes don't match, right? In another word, I can give you another example. There's a couple going on, husband, wife, and you know sometimes people think, ye iski biwi hai, ya ye iska khamand hai, something like that. So all your sentences must match. There should not be any mismatch of anything.